Hey everybody, Leah Pearson. I'm an Emerald Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide, and I'm going to just say that this is kind of a weird story, but I got the idea for this video in a dream that I had a couple nights ago, and I just felt like it was God's heart for me to process through a lot of this. And as I was going through it and asking myself some questions, I thought that this might be helpful for you guys as well. So just know that I am kind of in the process of hashing this out myself. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to share some of my thoughts with you, and maybe this will help you grow as well, and we can kind of process together. So kind of the purpose of this video is that summer is a really busy time of year. It is 4th of July weekend right now, and it's like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I got to get this video recorded before the 4th tomorrow. We just have had stuff going on all weekend. Summer is super busy. We've got extracurriculars and travel and family vacations and all these things, right? So a lot of times people end up pulling back from their business because of overwhelm, because of being too busy, because they feel like they've got too much going on and life is out of control and stress, or just flat out being burned out. So if you are struggling to keep your passion, if you're exhausted, if you're feeling like you don't have motivation, or if you're feeling burned out, what I have found as I'm processing all of this, those things come if you have a misalignment with what you think matters most. And I'm not going to hash all of this out. This is just going to be kind of a quick video. But you're not going to have motivation and you're going to feel burned out if you don't feel like what you're doing is in alignment with what you think is the most important thing in your life. So if you do not find meaning or significance in what you're doing, or if what you're doing does not line up with your core values, which essentially that's what you think is the most important thing in your life, then you're going to feel that burnout. So for instance, if somebody clocks in and does a 70-hour-a-week job, there's no meaning or purpose behind it. That's going to create burnout, right? Like that's a lot of hours for really no reason in doing it, just the cyclic pattern of working, right? But there's a lot of really busy people out there that are super stretched. They have to be very diligent with their time, and they also work 70 hours a week. Yet they're some of the most happy and fulfilled people on the planet. The difference is if you find meaning and purpose in what you're doing, even if you're working those 70 hours or 80 hours or whatever it is, even if you're super busy, even if you're burning the candle at both ends, you're not going to burn out if there's significance attached to it. The difference is the person who's aimlessly is working that 70-hour week has no vision, right? There's no meaning behind the work. It's just a task that does not have a significant impact on the world or on their future. So when someone becomes disconnected from the future and their contribution to it, they're going to underperform. They're not going to be performing at their top, right? But when you're connected with your future and your contribution to the world as a whole, that's going to bring that significance and that fulfillment that every single human being longs for. I love this quote, and it says, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it." Because what the world needs is people who have come alive, by Howard Thurman. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and basically, like I said, the whole purpose of this is if you can find meaning and significance in what you're doing in your Plexus business, you're going to have fuel to do it day in and day out. So I'm going to ask you some questions that I pulled from some different podcasts or books or just things that I have kind of been reflecting on personally and journaling. I'd really encourage you to do that. So this is just kind of conversational. I'm going to just throw them out there. Write them down, and I'd love to have you process over these because I think that this is going to give you the fuel to press in and really reach your potential. So here we go. What makes your heart come alive? List things in multiple areas of your life, whether it's with your kids, with your family, spiritually. What makes your heart come alive in your business? What makes your heart come alive in your Plexus business? 5 years from now, how do you want to feel when you look back at your life and accomplishments? Can you name that feeling? How do you want to feel? Can you feel that feeling? What do you enjoy most about your Plexus business? What is your favorite thing about it? What do you enjoy most? How does that thing that you enjoy align with your personal values or your core values? And I mentioned this previously, but your core values are essentially what you think is the most important things in your life. It's like your fundamental beliefs. These are the things that guide all of your decisions. So how does the thing that you enjoy the most about your Plexus business, how does that align with your personal core values? And that's important because, and I'm going kind of slow because I'm hoping you guys are writing while I'm doing this. That's important because if Plexus as a whole doesn't align with your core values, you won't have the motivation to do your work, right? So you need to reflect on how your business aligns with those core values. And if you need some ideas on what core values are, some of you, a lot of you, we read this book in book club a couple months ago. On page 188, she actually talks about a lot of different core values. It might be good to go back and read that chapter, or you can just Google core values and that'll kind of give you some ideas and really think about it, pray about it, and whatever ones kind of pop out at you, try to make a list of a top 2, 3, 4, and that will be really helpful. What is the most meaningful thing to you about your Plexus business? What brings the most significance and the most meaning to you? These are all questions I've been asking myself. What does it feel like when you are walking those things out? Describe it with 1 or 2 words. Describe that feeling. What does it feel like when you're walking those things out? What will it feel like in 5 years if you've consistently walked those things out in your business? Like if you have had the integrity of walking that out for 5 years. And then as far as like prioritizing, so in order for you to have satisfaction in your life, you have to be doing things that are meaningful to you. So if you had to choose between 2 good things in your life, how do you go about choosing those? How do you narrow down the focus so that what you're saying yes to is the thing that actually aligns with your core values and brings purpose to your day-to-day? How do you do that? Have you ever thought about that? Because if you haven't, you're probably saying yes to the wrong things, and then you aren't fulfilled or walking in the fullness of your potential or not able to give the fullness of yourself to what you really should be. So how do you know when you're doing something that is not bringing meaning to your life? What are some maybe red flags for you? Write those out. And then maybe examine, like, do I have some of those things in my life? And in 5 years, at the end of your life, how will you know if you've lived a meaningful life? How will you know that? What will be the indication of that? Another thought I had is, do you actually want to be fulfilled? Have you thought about that I want to be fulfilled? What does it take for you to feel fulfilled? And are you willing to do that? Are you willing? Do you want to walk in the fullness of what God has for you? Then I want you to think, can you picture yourself walking all this out, fulfilled, purposeful, satisfied, and at peace a year from now? Can you imagine everything changed where you are really feeling fulfilled and at peace a year from now or 5 years from now? I want you to picture yourself in this place. How do you walk? How do you talk? Who are your friends, or what kind of friends do you have? What does your schedule or your day-to-day look like? What's the temperature in your home? Do you see spark in your eyes when you're imagining yourself? Can you imagine it? So do you see your shoulders pulled back? Picture as much detail as you can. Your Plexus business is a vehicle to fulfill your purpose, and it's really a training ground to walk in the fullness of your purpose. So I really encourage you to embrace these questions, and hopefully this is going to reignite your fire to press into the day-to-day. Lastly, I'm going to pop a chart in here. It's from a book that I've been reading. I got that too. I just kind of started it. But he has a chart. It's called a clarity chart. And I just have like some screenshots that I'll put in here. And that's going to be really helpful. It's like prompts basically to reflect weekly on. And I think that'll help you kind of hone in on your purpose too. So I know that this is pretty informal, but hopefully this is helpful for you guys. This summer, you have the potential to grow your business like never before, just with all the things that Plexus just rolled out. So if you process through these questions, I believe that you're going to have the fuel that you need to consistently work despite your schedule, but despite your circumstances, despite whatever life throws at you. So hopefully this is helpful. I'll talk to you guys soon.